Hey, all you little dummies out there. This is the head. Big, cold-blooded dummy. What we got going on here today, guys, is we got an update on the Daytona 675. Okay, so we've been busy. We did a new tire in the front. Okay. And then we got the rear tire we still need to install. Okay. And then we've also done fork seals. So we pulled the whole front end apart and we tore down the forks, and I invested in all the tools needed to, the spring compressor and the seal driver and some other little, specialty tools. And including the actual fork seals, I think I spent about $250. But at least now I'll be able to service the forks anytime I want. And the dealership wanted $700 to do the fork seals. So we had leaking forks ever since I brought the bike home. And after I got everything torn apart, I used 800 grit wet dry sandpaper, and then I went up to 1500 grit and cleaned up the chrome on both sides, and then I flushed all the fluid out and wiped everything down and cleaned it as clean as a whistle. And then I installed the new fork seals, and we got all new fluid in here. So no more leaky forks. Okay, another thing I did was I installed the original handlebars. The bike had aftermarket handlebars, and they came off at a straight angle, so they were up higher, and I just didn't like them. And there was, clearance issues. You couldn't turn you had a hard time turning the bars all the way handlebar lock to lock. So I'm glad I was able to get the original handlebars from the original owner, and I got those all installed. One issue I had after I reinstalled the handlebars, the brake reservoir for the other handlebars was just a short little piece that had an angle. And this piece here is what's supposed to come on for the factory handlebars. Well, this was missing. I didn't have this piece. So I went to the Triumph dealership, and I called like 3 or 4 dealerships, and they looked it up and everything, and I got the part number, but Triumph doesn't make this part anymore, or at least they don't have any production, any plans of production in the near future. So I was like, oh great, what am I gonna do? So I went on eBay and searched and searched and searched, and finally I found one. It's a brand new, it was still in the original packaging and everything, but it was in Sydney, Australia. So, the part was only like $16, but I ended up having to pay like $30 extra for shipping. But they did a DHL air freight, and it got here in 3 days. So I tracked it. It flew nonstop Sydney to LA, and then it went from LA to Mather Field, which is here in Sacramento, and then they delivered it the following day. So that's pretty cool. I got an original master cylinder bracket, so I could get everything back together exactly how this bike came from the factory. Okay, and I decided to lower the front end. So it only lowered it not by very much, but I dropped it down And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the bike, and then I'm gonna take a look and do some measurements, and I'm gonna lower the rear the same as I did the front. So the bike will sit lower, but it'll be equal. Okay. So that's what's going on there. And this bike does have an adjustable center link in it. I don't know if you can see it down inside there, but it's got Heim joints and everything. So anyways, so we got the rear tire is the only thing left to do, and then this bike will be 100% tip-top shape and completely roadworthy. 2 weeks ago, I was out cruising on my midnight ride, and I was out near Folsom, California, and there's like a wooded area out there, and I see deer out there a lot, you know, up on the side of the road and up in the brush and stuff and in the woods. But on this night, there was a deer out right in the middle of the road, and as I was coming around a bend, I was doing like 50, and there was road construction, so there were like cones all down the center of the road, and you were supposed to stay to the right. Well, the deer was off to the left of the cone, and as I was coming around, thank God I have new LED headlights, and I had my full high beams on. And as soon as I came around that bend, I saw that deer, and he jumped right out in front of me, and I got on the brakes big time. And let me tell you, I'm glad that these brakes were pretty much already broken in, because I was able to get this bike slowed down in a big hurry. The only problem is the rear end locked up on me, and that's due to these tires are 15 years old, and they are not, the rubber is super hard, and that's why I've been riding around on this bike and just totally just taking it easy, and I haven't been able to corner on this bike very, very much, because I'm afraid that the bike could just slide out. Well, anyways, I locked up the rear, and the rear end started to slide off to the right, and of course, I let off the rear brake, and the bike straightened out, and I was able to stop about 10 feet from the deer, and he was just staring right at me, and of course, all he sees is two freaking, blinding lights just staring at him, so he doesn't even know it's a motorcycle. And then he juked a little bit, and then he took off back into the woods. And there was a car behind me, and luckily the guy was far enough behind me where he was able to slow down. But the very next day, I came home and I ordered all brand new rubber for this thing. So we are running Bridgestone, and these are the Battle Axe Hyper Sport, and it's the S22 right down there. So these are super sticky tires, and they have a really nice tread design. And here's the rear over here. So that's gonna look sick when I get that bad boy on there. And then I did my own mounting and balancing and everything, and I use I have a Harbor Freight tire changer for cars, so I use that. I use the bead breaker on that in order to break the bead, and then to dismount the tires, I use tire spoons and the rubber plastic rim protectors. And I was able to get these all apart and everything, and at least I got the front one off, and without scratching the rim or anything, and got it all back together. And as long as you utilize the drop well in the center of the rim, you can do the tire irons, and it's not super difficult. It is handy though to have a second person to help hold, because I use the method I use is I use 3 tire irons. So what I do is I leapfrog. And then you always have to have somebody on the other side holding one of the tire irons so that it doesn't slip and slide out of position. So, and then I put the rim and tire into my wheel balancing. I have a static wheel balancer, and then I bought a whole bunch of these little wheel weights and stuff. So we'll get the rear done, and when I take the rear wheel off, I want to pull off the cush drive and the sprocket and everything, get inside there and clean everything, and then reassemble it all and get it all back together. So that'll be a project. Maybe I'll do that later on today. But anyways, we also got us some LSL frame sliders. Okay. Now I got these from Germany, and I only bought the head. Okay. I didn't buy the whole kit because the whole kit is like super expensive. So what I did was I just utilized the kit that I already had. And if you notice in here, I don't know if you can see down in between there. Well, anyways, the original frame slider is made out of Delrin, and it's like a really hard plastic. And I just got a longer bolt that goes all the way through, but I don't like the way that this looks right here. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm gonna put this Delrin piece into my lathe, and I'm gonna machine this down so that this becomes, I'm just gonna get rid of the bull nose, and I'll make this a flat face right here. And then on the inside here, on the aluminum piece, there's like a little piece that kind of protrudes out. And what I'll do is I'll machine a recess in the Delrin so that this will fit flush, and then you won't see any of this bull nose, and you won't see any of this gap. So I'll do that for both sides. Okay. And the reason why I wanted the LSL frame sliders is because, for one, they're badass, and two, my theme is to sprinkle some, anodized red throughout the bike. And then we've also got the red, brake hoses. And then I'm planning on getting silicone radiator hoses, and I'm going to get the red. So you'll be able to look, when you look into the engine and stuff, you'll be able to see red hoses. And then on the rear here, we got these adjusters, and those are anodized in red. And then of course we've got the bobbin pins, and the little valve caps. So we're just putting little splashes of red throughout the bike. At some point I might have these anodized, these little I don't know, what do you call these, bushings or bracket or whatever. I might have those anodized red, just little splashes of red. Oh, there's a company that also makes a red aluminum anodized cap for the front and the rear. So I might, just little things like that, just to kind of make the bike pop. Okay, so what else we did is we got a painted seat cowl for the passenger, for the rider, for the passenger. So this is a Chinese piece, but I was really pleased with the way the color match is. And the leather work is not the greatest. It's just vinyl. But and the body work on the top cover is not perfect. There's some little dimples in it and stuff, but for $65, I don't know, you can't really go wrong. But now you can really see this paint chip that was on the bike before I bought it. So there's that paint chip there, and then there's 3 more paint chips. There's a little scuff right here. Okay. And then if you come up right here, there's another tiny little scuff. And then if you come up here, there's a little couple scratches. So there's only 4 areas on the whole bike where there's some paint blemishes. Well, I found a company that that reproduces this exact Tornado Red, and you can buy it. You can buy like paint sticks. You can buy, fingernail polish type, jars with little brushes, and you can buy like quarts and gallons and shit. You can buy any amount of paint you want. And for the Tornado Red, they recommend you using, they have a special base coat. So you need to get the base coat, and then you need to get the top coat, and then you need to get the clear coat. So I'm going to order 3 little tiny jars, and I'm going to do some touch-up paint work on this. And I'm not going to, sand it all down and everything. I'm just going to do dab, 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 let it dry, build it up, and then you very lightly wet sand it with a tiny, tiny little piece of sandpaper. So that's what I'm planning on doing to fix the paint work. Okay, so another item that we're working on is the mirrors. So the mirrors, I think these are either aluminum or pot metal or whatever, but there was some corrosion going on here. And so last night I took these all apart. I stuck all these little parts. I put them in my ultrasonic cleaner, and I cleaned the hell out of them. This was all glued up with red Loctite, so that was a bitch to get apart. But this was all these little washers in here were all jammed up and gunky and everything. So I got those all clean, so now everything pivots. This little ball socket here was frozen. So what I ended up doing is I just soaked it with WD-40, and then I just started moving it around. So I got that working. And then over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep sanding this a little bit with my green Scotch-Brite until I get rid of all the imperfections, and then I'm going to just shoot it with some semi-gloss black. And I'll mask off the plastic part of the mirror. Of course, I'll take everything off the bike. Now on this side, this bike had been dropped. I think this bike had been dropped. There was some scratches here on the side of the mirror, and the scratches were pretty deep, and they were all over here. And what I ended up doing was I took the green Scotch-Brite and I just started buffing on it, and I buffed it, and slowly the scratches started to go away. Okay, well, what that ended up doing was that left this whole area right here where I was sanding, it left it like really dull. Okay, so I don't know if any of you guys out there know, but when you have a plastic item that's all faded and dull and everything, if you take a heat gun and you just gently start waving the heat gun, it causes the surface layer of the plastic to re-liquefy and melt. And you got to be real quick, and you just boom, 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 boom. And what I ended up doing was I re-melted the plastic, and it brought back the shine. Now you can still see some scratches, but it's like 10 times better than what it was. So I'm pretty pleased with that, and I can keep working on it and stuff, and then just redo the heat gun to get the plastic to melt, and that brings back the shine. So that's what I did there. Okay, guys. I think that's pretty much it for now on the updates. Like I said, I pulled an all-nighter last night, and so little Red Fox, he's inside right now laying down, getting ready to go to bed, and I'm gonna go join him. The transformation on this bike is just amazing. I love this bike more and more every day. And if you notice here, the patina on the exhaust, it's got a nice gold patina now, and it almost matches perfectly the front forks. So I am so tickled about that. That looks sweet. And I am so happy to have the fork leak fixed, because it was dripping and going down, and then it was catching in the wind, and then it was spraying back on the bike and on the brakes. And I had, for a while, I had fork diapers on there, and who wants to wear diapers, Oh, the plug for this. So I'm not able to use the clip because of this racing brake line. So I'm gonna order some extra bolts, okay? And I'm gonna cut the end off of it, and then I'm just gonna insert the bolt into here, and a little dab from the backside, a little dab of silicone to glue it in place. And then so when you look at it, you'll just see, oh, maybe there's just an extra bolt right there, but it'll be non-functional. So that's what I'm gonna do to hide that hole. Okay, guys. Now we're cooking on the front burner. Oh, the original owner of this bike, she sent me this is the original seat. So she sent me that because she had another seat on here, and even though it was a Triumph seat, it was so uncomfortable. It was almost like you were sitting on a 2x4. It was so hard. So I got the original seat installed, and I'm going to try it out and see how it does. But if it's still uncomfortable, I'm going to end up ordering an aftermarket seat. So, because this bike it's hard enough to ride this bike because you're leaned over and all that. But if you're sitting on a 2x4, that's no fun. So, oh, guys, we got our LEDs. I told you that in the very beginning, and on the next episode, I'll show you what brand I got, and they are super bright. It's like looking at a supernova. It's so bright. So, anyways, this is the head. Big, cold-blooded dummy. Signing out. Later, all you little gators out there.